I stood in the middle of the training field, watching the tension between werewolves and humans. Chapter 31, The Meeting Riley's POV. I hesitantly knocked on the door of the mansion where many werewolves were staying. I had sent a quick text to Ashton on not to freak out when we arrived. He had asked why, but I didn't bother answering. Now I waited for him to answer the door whilst there was about 28 gangsters with guns and knives milling around behind me. The door opened and Ashton's face greeted me. He smiled in relief before his eyes wandered to everyone behind me. He visibly paled and his eyes widened. What's this? He stuttered. Help, Spencer said, stepping up. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I began. I can explain everything, just don't freak. It's not the time for freak outs. I just have to talk to Alpha Terran. How about all those other people? I can smell the silver from here. Ashton narrowed his eyes at them. We'll leave the silver in the cars. But we have to bring the guns. They feel safer when there is a weapon in reach. Ashton hesitated before nodding. They can't fire in the house. Then you can't attack, Ben said. Put all silver in the cars, Ben said to the group. They reluctantly went to the cars. I waited for them with Ashton, who was standing stiffly. You don't have a gun to write. I shook my head. No, I left mine at home because I know you are gonna freak when you find out your mate always has a gun with her. Ashton choked. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He asked in disbelief. If I don't have a gun, I would have a knife. I shrugged like it was nothing and looked away. So you have your knife right now. I looked back at him and pulled my knife out of its sheath that was in my boot. Ashton held his head as he digested the information. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We have no silver, Lucy said. She looked like she could kill anyone right now. She was dressed for war. She wore boots and I knew inside them was a dagger each. Her vest was filled with different types of guns. Her pockets are filled with bullets and snacks. Even her necklace has poison in it. Even though I told her she didn't need any of them, she insisted she brought it. Ashton turned on his heel and made his way into the house. I saw people coming down the stairs. They stared at the group of strangers in the house until Ashton barked at them to leave. I could tell that he had control of them by the tone of his voice and how they listened to him. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. A voice said. We turned to see Jessica coming towards us. Jess, not now, Ashton said sternly. But who are these scary people? Then her eyes landed on me. A huge smile came onto her face and she squealed. Riley. She ran towards me and tackled me in a hug. Spencer eyed her and Ashton growled, making the gang flinch back. I shot Spencer a look and he scowled before looking away. Hey Jessica. I patted her head. She untangled herself from me. What are you doing here? I'm here to talk to your dad. Do you know where he is? Yup, he's in the living room waiting for you. Ashton mind-linked him and my mom to go wait for you there. Mind-linked. I call it brain talk. Ashton spoke up. It's what werewolves can do. We can talk to our pack without speaking. Riley. I turned and saw eyes. I'm coming down the stairs. Hey Riley, what are you doing here? She's going to explain to the Alpha and Luna, Ashton said. Nathan's lips thinned out. I was just going there. We followed them to the living room. Ashton didn't seem to notice, just kept tagging along quietly. When Ashton opened the door for us to come in, I hesitantly went first. I saw Taryn, Haley, a woman and man sitting in chairs. Sophie, Brandon, Jake, Carly, and Sarah stood behind them. Nathan went to stand beside the man. Ashton went to stand beside Sophie. Jessica ran to her mother and climbed onto her lap. Taryn gestured to the chairs for us to sit. I sat in between Spencer and Ben, in which made me look like a dwarf. The others stood behind us, staring at the werewolves in front of us. All of us were tense. We could feel the power coming from them in waves. The wolves were also tense, but their eyes were only on Ben, Spencer, and me. Their eyes would occasionally flicker to Lucy, or maybe to Dennis. "It's good to see you again, Riley," Haley said, smiling. "It's good to see you too." Taryn cleared his throat, directing the attention to him. "Ashton told me that you have something to tell us." I straightened up. "Yes, I do. Alpha Taryn. Your pack is in danger and only my gang knows the threat." Alpha Taryn raised his eyebrow. "Oh, what is the threat?" "The hunters and rouges are teaming up to destroy your pack." "What?" Carly squeaked. Taryn let out a low growl. Haley took his hand and massaged it, making him stop. "Why do you want to help us?" the man said. "3 reasons. I don't want your pack to die. My dear friend Jared wants revenge. And they have my cousin." "Your cousin? Why would they have your cousin?" Haley asked. "They thought she was a good leader, but they think that Jared had weakened her." I knew Jared was glaring at the ground. Then I felt someone's breath tickle my ear. "I'm going to go out," Jared said. "Do you want to bring someone?" "I'll bring Jamie." I nodded and Jared took Jamie out the back door. I noticed Ashton's jaw was clenched from the time when Jared had whispered in my ear. I gave him a small smile, which he returned. Then I made funny faces at him, making his smile stretch into a bigger one. Spencer elbowed me in the rib. I looked at him and he nodded at Taryn, who had his eyebrows raised in amusement. "Huh?" I asked, stupidly. Ashton laughed but had to cover it with a cough when Sophie elbowed him. "If you weren't making stupid faces at Ashton, then you would have heard what Alpha Taryn had said." The mart snarled. I blushed in embarrassment. Ashton growled at him and I decided that I didn't like the man. Then the woman warned, "Don't disrespect the Alpha. Huntress, you may not be raised as a wolf, but you still have to respect him. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You were just a leech trying to get power off of Ashton." Nathan's dad continued. I heard some people from behind me reach for their daggers and guns. Ashton growled at the man again. "Who are you?" Baited Anne. The man puffed his chest out. "Did the moon goddess appear to you in a dream? Has she ever told you the reason why you were mates with Mrs. Beta?" He hesitated. "No." "Well, I know why I'm mates with Ashton. She appeared in my dream. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." It was today when she did. She told me why I'm Ashton's mate. Baited Aunt Scott. Lies. The moon goddess rarely appears to wolves, especially humans. "Done, be quiet and let the girl talk," Alpha Taryn commanded. Baited and pressed his lips in a thin line and sat back on his seat. "The reason the moon goddess told me is that I was going to have to save your pack." Baited and's eye twitched in annoyance. "She said that hunters and rouges were going to overpower you, so she needed some others to back you up." Baited Anne was going to say something when Haley cut in. "I'm sure we will need all the help we can get. Thank you, Riley, for warning us." She shot Baited a withering look. Ben spoke up. "I was thinking of when we could train together. If we practiced together, wolves and humans, we could get used to each other and it would be easier on the battlefield." Taryn nodded. "That's a good idea. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "Ben, thank you, Alpha Ben," Taryn said gratefully. Ben sat up straighter when he was called Alpha. I snickered at him, which he sent a death glare at me. "Can I be the beta?" I asked playfully. "No. Spencer is the beta. Jared is the third. You are the fellow sister of the beta." Ben stuck his tongue out at me. "But I'm the one with the plans." "Too bad." "Beta's sister." Cole patted my head. I scowled and slapped his hand away. Alpha Taryn cleared his throat uncomfortably. "Can I talk to Alpha Ben and his mate in my office?" "Mate?" Ben asked with a strange look on his face. "Do you not have a mate?" Taryn asked with an eyebrow raised. Brandon leaned down to whisper something in his father's ear. Terran's face masked into one of surprise. "I'm sorry. Alpha Ben. I should have known that you wouldn't have a mate like us werewolves and Riley. I'll accompany Ben in that talk," Spencer said. "I mean, I am the second in command." He smirked at me and I scowled. "Terran, Haley, Mr. and Mrs. Spencer." And Ben went to his office. "Well, Lucy and I going to find Jared and Jamie." Dennis said, and they went out hand in hand. I saw Nathan's eyes following them sadly. I went to him. "So was that man your dad?" "Sorry. He can be a bit of a douche to people who has guns. He says that anyone who has a gun is a hunter. I'm just glad that he didn't shift and attack. I thought Lucy was single," he said all of a sudden. "That's what every boy think. She likes to flirt with boys. Then his feelings get crushed when they see her with Dennis. It goes the same way with Dennis. He pretends to show interest in girls, then crushes them." Nathan grimaced. "That's cruel. I know. But that's what they are good at. Deceiving people. You get used to it. Even some of the boys call me just to try and get Lucy jealous. I would just tell them to get over it." Nathan laughed. "That's what I called desperate." Then when he became serious, "You are in again." I nodded. "But my brother doesn't allow me to go on missions. He says that there are too much blood." "Then what do you do?" "I hang out with Lucy and help her with the weapons. I also practice my fighting and gun skills." "You are more violent than I originally thought," Nathan said wide-eyed. I winced. "Sorry for changing your thoughts on me." A pair of arms slipped around my waist and Ashton's head rested on my shoulder. "That didn't change my thoughts on you," he mumbled and kissed my neck. "That's good." I leaned into him. "I'm so not going to be the third wheel," Nathan said, walking away to converse with the still tense gangsters. "Don't run away without telling me," Ashton said lowly. "If not, I will chain you up in my room." I don't think my brother would like that. I turned in his arms and smiled up at him. "Then that sucks for him," Ashton mumbled as he leaned down to kiss me. I smiled when our lips met, sending sparks flying everywhere. "Break it up, guys," someone said. I looked and saw Cole and Justin scowling. "It's okay, guys. I forgive you for being jealous of my relationship. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Justin said, baffled. "I am not JEA." The back door burst open. Lucy stood there, her hair wild, and she was panting. She pointed at the door. Rouge attack. Dennis, Jamie, and Jared already fighting with some wolves. Ashton immediately entangled himself from me. "Do what we did the last time. All the females and children to the basement." To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I screeched, but he had already turned and ran out with his siblings. The gangsters waited for my command. "Half of you follow the wolf to fight. Other half go tell everyone in the house. Go to the basement and the females and children should be with you. Then split in half again. One half guard the perimeter and the other half scout the house's main floor." I commanded. Then something caught my eye. I barked. She froze. "Follow Lucy." I pointed at Lucy. Jessica scowled but obeyed my and went to Lucy. "Lucy, Jess can use magic, so make sure she doesn't escape." Lucy nodded and was about to walk away when I called her again. She turned with a raised eyebrow. "Can I use one of your guns?" I asked sweetly. Lucy smirked and tossed me a gun. "You rebel." She tucked D and dragged Jessica away, shouting orders at the gangsters. I checked the gun to see if there was any bullet. It was full. I ran out through the door and followed the howls and gunshots. Chapter 32, Rouge Attack. Wiley's POV. It was easy finding the battle. The gunshots and barks were so loud, I could easily detect where it was coming from. I peeked from behind a tree and my eyes widened at the number of wolves I saw. I spotted Den, is covered in blood. He was still alive and shooting Rouge after Rouge. not giving a second thought before firing. He nailed all of them in the head. I aimed my gun at the closest rouge. I pulled the trigger and got it in the stomach. It yelped and snarled at me. Its hind legs tensed up to pounce, but before it could, I shot it again, this time guessing it in the head. I looked around for anyone in trouble. I spotted a boy struggling to fight off 2 rouges. I went to him, shooting any rouges who got in my way. That alone took quite a long while. When I reached him, one of the rouges noticed me and growled at me. I pointed the gun at its head and shot it. Then I was tackled to the ground by another wolf who snuck up from behind. I spat the dirt out of my mouth and turned onto my back. I punched it in its muzzle and kicked it off of me. I pointed my gun at it but realized that I didn't have gun. It had flew from my hand when TD attacked me. I reached into my boot and pulled my knife out. The wolf circled me and I watched it warily. It lunged and I sliced at it. It dodged my blade and managed to nip my ankle. I stepped away, but the wolf was faster and lunged again, pinning me under him. I tried shaking him off, but he was too heavy. His breath, and over my face. I wrinkled my nose when I caught a whiff of it. Have you ever heard of a breath mint? Hoping I could buy myself time to think of a way to escape, it curled its lip, showing off its yellow teeth. I think I might be speeded my death because I could see that he was going for the kill. I squeezed my eyes shut, waiting for its disgusting teeth to pierce my skin. The weight was suddenly gone. My eyes popped open and I surveyed my surroundings. I saw a wolf on the rouge that was originally on me. The wolf to the rouge's throat out, making the rouge shift back into a naked man. The wolf turned to me and I immediately recognized its bright blue eyes. To my agent extraordinaire, webnovel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He approached me and growled. Then he took my boot in between his teeth and tugged. I grabbed my gun and followed him to the trees. He acted as my bodyguard, growling at anyone who got close. I helped him shoot rouges as I went. We arrived at the trees and he shifted back into his human. I told you to stay in the house. What are you doing here? Don't worry, Ashton. Your pack is safe. I turned to go back into the fight, but he caught my wrist before I could go far. And where do you think you are going? To help, I said in a dove voice. You can't go back in there, he exclaimed. You'll get yourself killed. I can protect myself. I snapped. I'm not a Chine at all that can break at anything. I'm an able human being that can fight. I don't want you to get hurt. Riley. To my agent extraordinaire, webnovel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He said, pulling me closer to him. And I won't, I said confidently. You can fight, but you have to stay by me at all times. I need to be able to keep an eye on you or my wolf will drive me nuts. I sighed but nodded reluctantly. Let's go. He shifted into his sleek black wolf and I went back to the battle. I pointed my gun at another rouge when I noticed them retreating. What's happening? I looked around and saw other people standing around confused. Riley. My head snapped to the sound of Spencer. His feet pounded heavily on the ground as he neared us. I saw that he was actually bloody and limping. What happened to you? Let me see your leg. I reached to cut his pant leg away, but his hand stopped me. Not me, he gasped out. Wounded badly. Needs medical attention right now. Where is he? I looked around for my blonde friend. Spencer pointed at the direction HED come from. I took off in a full sprint, aware of Ashton and Spencer behind me. Then I saw him lying on the ground. Justin was holding his bloody stomach, gasping for breath. I cursed and ran to him. That's my name, he rasped out. Hold on, let me get your shirt off of you. I hooked my fingers at the hem of his shirt and lifted it over his head. AGH. He gritted his teeth in pain. To my agent extraordinaire, webnovel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I apologized and squeezed his shirt into a ball. This is going to hurt, I warned. I put his shirt on the wound and applied pressure. He inhaled a sharp intake of breath and shut his eyes tightly. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm so sorry. I bit my lip, worried if I was doing this right. Ashton sat down next to me. The pack doctors are on their way. I nodded. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Are they coming quick? They do know that there will be a bunch of injured people. Right. Yes, are you okay? Did you get hurt? Ashton immediately began fussing over me. I'm fine. I was right next to you the whole time. You weren't letting anyone get close to me. Remember? I rolled my eyes. And anyway, my friend is sitting next to me, bleeding his stomach out, and you are concerned about me. I think I can take care of myself. I don't want to be caught in between you guys fighting. Justin tried to get up, but I pulled him back down. I pushed on his shoulders, making him lie on the ground. I turned to Ashton. Do you have a shirt? Nope. I don't have any piece of clothing on actually, he said simply. I looked away, feeling my cheeks heat up. Go put on some pants and grab me another shirt. I shooed him away. He obediently followed my orders and left. So how's it like having a werewolf as a boyfriend? Justin weakly asked. No, don't talk. Rest but don't sleep. You might never wake up. We waited for Ashton, and when he came back, he had a few people following closely behind him. They immediately began assisting Justin. They peeled the shirt off him, which made more blood flow out. They took strips of cloth and unwound it around Justin's torso. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I said as I watched them. I'm okay. Riley, go check on the others. Justin said, making a shooing motion with his hands. I hesitated but nodded. If you need anything, just shout. Or maybe tell the person closest to you. Got it. I went to the next people I saw. What happened to you? I asked Dennis. Lucy sat beside him, winding cloth around his arm. Some stupid rouge bit me and wouldn't let go. I had to head, but it didn't. Now I have a headache. He groaned and held his head. When did you get here? I directed the question to Lucy. Jessica escaped. I went to look for her, and when I arrived, the rouges were retreating. She's now being scolded by her parents. Lucy tugged on the strip of cloth to tighten it. Dennis yelped and shot Lucy a look. She smirked. Toughen up, big boy. She patted his arm. I got up to leave when Lucy's voice stopped me. If you're gonna look for Jared, he is back in the house. I nodded in thanks and went to tell Spencer. It lost Ashton when I went to see Lucy and Dennis. Hey, Spencer. He was hunched over an injured girl, tending to her wounds, yes. Distracted. In going back to the pack house to talk to Jared. Bring someone with you. Will do. I spun on my heel and went to look for Ashton. Are you busy? Sliding next to him. Nope. Is there a problem? Spencer just wants someone to be with me when I go back to the house. I'll come. He took my hand and led me to the forest. I couldn't control the grin that slipped onto my face. His hand was warm and my much smaller hand fit his perfectly. We walked side by side, swinging our interlocked hands. Because the sky was dark, the trees had an eerie feeling. I took a step closer to Ashton, but the action didn't go unnoticed. He squeezed my hand softly and pulled me closer. I soon spotted the backyard lights at the house and sped up my walking. We went through the back door and I made a beeline to the living room. I peeked my head and saw wolves and people sitting around. They had purposely sat away from each other. On the left half sat the werewolves. My gang sat on the right. My eyes zeroed in on a familiar mop of brown hair in the corner of the room. I wove my way around the bodies and stopped in front of Jared. You look really moody, I commented. I didn't get much information. What are you talking about? I leaned closer, hoping it would help improve my listening skills. I was threatening every rouge I crossed paths with. None of them would tell me anything about Bridget. Jared buried his face in his hands and groaned. Just capture a bunch and torture them until they answer our questions. To my agent extraordinaire, webnovel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Since when were you so violent? Jared looked up from his hands and raised his eyebrows. Ever since I found out that my cousin was being held hostage against her will, I said seriously. We settled in silence after that. The room buzzed with excitement from the attack. Some gangsters approached me to ask questions and I answered them as truthfully as I could. When everyone had come back to the house, Alpha Terran ordered us to go to the meeting room. Ashton took my hand and led me to the said room. We entered a room that was way bigger than the gang room. There were rows and rows of benches to seat the hundreds of people. I sat with my gang and Ashton. Ben and Alpha Terran went on the stage, gaining the audience's attention. As you know, we have some new people in the pack house. Alpha Terran started. They are here to help us like they did in the recent attack. You know my son. Ashton has a mate, Riley. She's the one who found out that not only are there Rouges that are going to attack, but there will be hunters. The room was suddenly filled with gasps and growls. Alpha Terran raised his hand to silence them. Then he continued. They are being led by a man called Paul. Alpha Ben told me that Paul has Riley's cousin as captive. Beside me, Jared let out a distressed sigh. Alpha Ben had said that they're looking for a female leader to help Paul lead the group. Fortunately, Alpha Ben knows who he will give to Paul, but we will only give him the girl if she's our only chance to end the war. Now Alpha Ben will tell you what happens from now on. Alpha Terran stepped away from the front and Ben took his place. Ben scanned the crowd with an emotional face and then his eyes landed on me. I gave him a small smile and a thumbs up. First off, I'd like to tell you the training schedule. We will be training at the backyard because of the large amount we have. It will start at 8 in the morning and end at 12. Ben paused to let everyone digest the information, then continued. There will be a lot of change in the next few days. My gang will be moving in with you so that if there is a surprise attack, we will be ready. We will have tomorrow in the morning with our things and occupy most of the guest rooms. And about the silver, we will have silver bullets, but we will have a small room to keep them in. I hope we will get along well, and if we don't, good luck. Alpha Terran went back to the front. I want you to always be on your guard. Don't go for a run alone nor when it's past 9. It's not going to be the same until the threat is demolished. You are dismissed. My gang and I went outside to the cars, ready to go home. I didn't hear anything. Jamie said, walking next to me. Could you tell me what they were saying? Why not? They were speaking clearly. I was sleeping. I always sleep during meetings. Jamie said, scratching the back of his head. I rolled my eyes. Too bad. In not telling you what they said. A www, please. Jamie pouted. I shook my head. Jamie stomped his feet childishly. You'll go ask Justin. He will tell me because he's nice. Unlike some people, Justin's staying here. He was badly wounded. He needs his rest. Then he'll go to Cole. Jamie marched away with his nose held high in the air. I giggled and shook my head at his child-like behavior. Riley, can I talk to you for a while? I smiled at Ashton, who appeared beside me. Sure. He led me to a corner and began rambling. I know that you have been trained to fight and you know how to protect yourself. But can you please not go to the fights? I don't know what you'll do if you ever die. I won't be able to live and will probably be depressed for the rest of my life. I made a promise with Jessica and I will not break that promise. If not, she'll sneak into my room and set it on fire, and I cut him off by placing my lips on his. When I pulled back, to my agent extraordinaire, webnovel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You were rambling. If you're gonna kiss me every time I ramble, I think I will do it more often. He mumbled. He wrapped his arms around my waist and pulled me to his rock-hard chest. I lightly laughed and loosely draped my arms around his neck. But seriously, I really don't want you fighting. I have to. That's why I'm here. I'm supposed to help you fight. But I will start staying in the house when I get badly hurt. How about that? I quickly came up with a deal. I don't think. Come on. Please. I gave him my best puppy dog eyes. He bit his lip and looked away, letting out a sigh of defeat. A wide smile stretched onto my face. I knew you cow didn't resist my eyes. I stated proudly, I know your weakness. His arms tight and around my waist, and he lowered his mouth to my ear. You are my weakness, he said huskily. I invo until he shivered. He gently nipped my earlobe, making me fight back a moan. I have to go. My brother's waiting for me. I stuttered, pushing myself away from him. I felt colder when his arms left me. I turned to leave but was spun around. Ashton quickly pecked me on my lips. See you tomorrow, sweetheart. And he was gone. I stared after him, dazed. There you are. A female's voice filled my ears. Riley. Her voice seemed far away. Riley. Riley. I blinked and saw Lucy's face a few inches away from mine. She snapped her fingers in front of my face and I backed away. What? We were waiting for you in the car. What's taking you so long? Lucy stared at me expectantly. Nothing. I stole a quick glance at where Ashton had disappeared. Lucy followed my look and frowned when she saw nothing. Come on, girl. You must be really tired. She dragged me to the car where everyone was waiting. Chapter 33, Lost Riders POV. I unpacked my things, putting clothes in the drawers, toiletries in the bathroom, and my phone charging beside my bed. I crashed onto my bed once my luggage was empty. Maybe I can get some sleep before we have to go out. I grinned at that thought and rolled under the covers. I shut my eyes, waiting for sleep to overtake me. But when I was on the verge of falling asleep, my phone lit up. I groggily checked the message. Benny boy, get up. We are going to start training. I groaned loudly and rolled off the bed. I quickly changed into some purple shorts, a yellow tank top. I went outside and looked for some familiar faces. I spotted Jamie waving his hands wildly in the air and went to him. Do we wait? He asked when I got near. Yeah. I noticed that as different species were separated. The werewolves were talking among themselves and they threw looks over to us once in a while. Aren't we getting along just fine? Cole said cheerfully. Lucy scoffed. Yeah. Best friends. We quieted down when Ben stepped onto the makeshift stage. He cleared his throat and said, We are going to split up. My gang goes to the shooting range, and Brandon will instruct the rest. We went to the shooting range and took our guns out. There were multiple boards with the red bullseye in the middle. We each lined a few feet away from a board and got our guns ready. Fire when you're ready. Ben shouted. I pulled the trigger. The bullet zipped through the air. Enthusiasm, embedding itself far away from the bullseye. I fired the gun again. This time, I got it closer to the dot. Taking a couple more shots, I finally shot the taunting red circle. I mentally smiled, proud that it hit it. We continued firing until Ben told us to stop. I had just talked to Brandon and he wants us to come back. Ben announced. We kept our guns and went back to the center of the field. Brandon stood on the stage and once every owner's attention was on him, he began speaking. For the next drill we are going to do is combat. I want the partners to each be a human and a wolf. Now partner up. Nobody moved. No one knew how to interact with the other. I hesitantly stepped forward and went to Carly's side, silently claiming that I was her partner. Ashton went next. He went to Cole, who eyed him suspiciously. Soon, more people came forward and found a partner. Carly and I went to an open space and waited for instructions. Then Brandon asked, Is everyone paired up? I think there will be extra wolves, so I guess you can go with another wolf. Once that was done, he spoke again. I want you to practice doing your punches. Your partner will do their best to dodge them, and try not to hit them too hard, because there are some mates here. I turned to Carly and lifted my arms to cover my face. To where agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Wherever you are. She swung her fist and I ducked under it. Her next swing was aimed for my stomach and I twisted, feeling her knuckles graze my soft flesh. Carly resumed punching and I dodged most of them. Some of them had nicked me in the shoulder and ear. Switch up. Carly held her arms up to protect her face. I swung for her stomach and she sidestepped. I quickly followed the movement and swung my other arm, hitting her hard in the stomach. She yelped and moved back. Guess the training in your gang must be hard, she said, smiling. My brother just wants me to know how to protect myself. I wish I have a brother, she said wistfully. I chuckled dryly. Sometimes they can be a big pain in the ass. Having a mate is already bad enough, Carly said, looking affectionately at Jake, who was trying to get Jamie. Tell me about it. I rolled my eyes. An ear-splitting shriek caught our attention. Our heads snapped to where it was coming from. There was a small crowd forming around something. I started towards it, seeing everyone stop what they were doing to come look. I pushed my way past the crowded bodies and saw a familiar girl lying on the ground, cradling her most likely broken nose. I looked up from the ground and saw another girl standing over her, smirking triumphantly. Then a boy burst into the circle. He sees the girl lying on the ground and starts yelling at the smirking girl. What the hell did you do to her? Why is she even on this stupid game? The girl asked. She can't even pack a punch, let alone dodge one. Who I think is the bloody girl's boyfriend, was furious. I'll show you a punch. He drew his fist back to smash it into the girl's face. As he let it sail in the air, another guy comes and unblocks the impact. And who the hell are you? The guy with the injured girlfriend asked. I'm Tina's mate, Quinn. Tina stood behind Quinn and shot the guy a sinister look. The guy narrowed his eyes at her, making Quinn growl. Don't look at her like that. Then make sure she's on a leash next time, or I'll make sure that her room is filled with silver the next day. Then I remembered. This guy is the guy in charge of the stocks. He's like Lucy's assistant. But I forgot his name. What was it? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Edwin. Oh yeah, Edward. Quinn let out another low growl at the threat. He looked like he was about to lunge at Edward at any moment when a gunshot fired. What the hell's going on? Lucy came into view and she observed her surroundings. Lucy, Edward mumbled, his head tilting slightly downwards. Edward, get Sam off the ground, please. Bring her to the pack doctor. You can stay with her. Edward nodded and did what he was told. Where's Brandon? And Ben? Quinn demanded. It is Alpha Ben. Boy, Lucy snapped. Don't disrespect an alpha. Quinn sealed his mouth shut but gave her the death stare. They left to talk to the other alphas and left me in charge. Then she added quietly at the end, although I have no idea why. Then she focused back on Quinn. And please tell me what happened. It was Tina said, stepping forward. It was me. What did you do to Sammy? We were partners and she was too slow to dodge one of my lamest punches. Is she even qualified for all of this? If you're the pro, why would you choose to fight someone of such low level? Lucy questioned. I mean, she is the field medic that had just joined a week ago. Tina's mouth popped open in surprise. What? You'd be lucky if she forgave you. That is if she still is willing to give up her life to save your pack. Lucy shrugged. She was one of the few people who volunteered to go on the battlefield. Tina was still speechless. I suggest that once Sammy is all right, you go apologize and become the best of friends. How about that? Tina looked like she was in a trance when she nodded her head. Good. Then Lucy looked around as if to just notice the big circle forming around them. What are all of you nosy people doing here? She yelled. Get back to training. No time to watch drama. You never know when we could be attacked. We quickly scurried away from her to finish up the last few minutes of our training. I walked down the hallway, freshly showered and dressed. I decided to stop by Justin's place to check up on him. I knocked lightly on the door, waiting for a signal. When I heard nothing, I pushed it open. I was just lying in a white bed, sleeping soundly. His loud snores and the beeps of the monitor were the only sounds. I stepped in and closed the door behind me. I quietly took the seat beside his bed. I coughed in comfortably. Hey Justin. Just came back from the first training. It was a disaster. You know Edward. The guy who supplies us with silver. His girlfriend got her nose broken by a wolf girl. Probably has more bruises that she's covering up. I studied his face to see any type of movements. He resumed snoring. The verbal fight almost went into a fist fight. The girl's mate came in, then they almost fought too. Luckily, Lucy came. She separated the two and Edward brought Sam to the hospital. I'm probably gonna visit her after this. And Lucy, being Lucy, made the girl feel terrible about punching Sam. I paused. Now the girl is going to have a hard time apologizing to Sam because I don't think Edward will let her get within 5 meters. I waited for a response. Nothing. Then I smiled. Justin, you do know that acting isn't your strongest forte. I waited a little while before his snore slowly stopped and his mouth curved into a smile. His eyes blinked open and he grinned at me. Well, damn. I thought I had you fooled. His voice was soft but rough. Nice try. But your snores were exaggerated. Why was Sam in the practice anyway? I'm guessing that she wants to learn how to protect herself when in battle. She'd get killed within seconds if she didn't have any muscle. Justin nodded in agreement. Do you think you'll be able to get out soon? How's the stomach? Sore and still healing. But better than the last time. I smiled in pity. Sorry, Justin. But I think you'll have to stay here for a while longer. He groaned and covered his face with his hands. I can't stay here anymore. It's driving me crazy. There is too much white. Then I wish you good luck. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. By Justin. Don't move too much or the stitches will break and you'll have to stay here longer. I waved and closed his door. Now I just had to find Sam's room. I looked at my hand which I had written down the room numbers on. Room 374. I turned to my right and went down the hall. 374. I knocked on the door. A voice called, "Coming," and I heard heavy footsteps. The door opened and I craned my neck up to meet Edward's eyes. "Oh, hello Riley," a soft voice greeted. I looked over Edward's shoulder and saw Sam laying on the bed comfortably. Now that I had a clear view of her face, I saw that she was sporting a lot of bruises. I was sure that she was hiding some more under her shirt. Seeing her reminded me of myself. I squeezed past Edward's hulking figure and stood beside Sam. I sat on a chair and took her hand. "You okay? You looked quite bloody back there." She laughed, which turned into a wince. "Yeah, I'm fine. It hurts, but I don't think it hurt as much as what you've experienced." I grimaced and held my stomach, imagining all the kicks I had taken. Sam realized her mistake and immediately apologized. "I'm so sorry. I'm so stupid. I totally forgot that I was supposed to mention." "Never mind. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." I smiled softly. "You'll have to get over it someday. Have you told Ashton?" Edward asked, sitting next to me. I sucked in a breath. "Not yet. I don't know how to tell him. How would he react? Will he react like what Justin did?" To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. "Yes, your mate. Of course he'll react way worse," Edward said. Sam slapped his shoulder. "She has to tell him. He deserved to know." I didn't say that he shouldn't know. I'm just saying that HED probably want to rip off the guy's fingers one by one. "Not helping," Sam hissed between her teeth. "It's okay, guys." To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Trying to get their attention. I was thinking of telling him soon. "Are you sure?" Sam asked worriedly. "We don't want to pressure you or anything." "I'm sure HED like to know my past." I forced a smile onto my face. It was going to be hard telling him. They must have fallen for the smile because they sighed in relief. "Good. Because I don't want you to feel pressured. I better get going. It's nice to see you still well. Sam and Edward. Take good care of her. Hope to see you both in practice soon. Bye. I swung the door open and crashed into a hard chest. I stumbled back, holding my nose. I looked up scowling when I saw Quinn and Tina. It disappeared. Edward. Sam, you've got guests. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Who is it? Edward called back. Come see for yourself. I heard the chair legs scrape backwards and Edward's steps came closer. The door opened and Edward's harsh voice said, "What do you want?" Tina flipped in front of her. "Can we come in?" Edward reluctantly opened the door wider. Quinn and Tina stepped into the room and Edward closed it in my face. But before it clicked shut, he gave me a panicked look. I rolled my eyes and walked away. As I made my way to my room, my stomach growled, reminding me that I was hungry. I turned my head left and right, trying to figure the way to the kitchen. I gave up after a while, going to where I assumed was the kitchen. I turned the corner and groaned at the many doors. I was definitely not on the first floor. I walked down the hall, hoping I would bump into someone I could ask for directions. Unfortunately, I bumped into a not useful person. "Hey Cole. Hey, do you know where the game room is?" I heard that they had a bunch of stuff. Cole said excitedly. "Not a clue. Do you know which way I have to go to get to the kitchen?" I asked him. Cole sheepishly scratched the back of his head. "He'd come from this other room. A girl's room." I raised my eyebrow. "Okay. I don't really need to know what you did." I scrunched my nose in disgust. "Hey, you'll be doing it with Ashton soon." Cole defended himself. "Yuck." I stuck out my tongue. "I don't think so." To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. "I don't think so." Cole smacked. "Whatever." I huffed in annoyance. "Boys," I muttered, rolling my eyes. "Girls." He mimicked me, rolling his eyes. "Let's go ask for directions." To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Ignoring him, Cole opened the first door he touched. No one was inside. He went on to the next one. No one was inside. I helped him by looking behind the other doors. I opened my fifth door. Bad mistake. I shrieked and slammed the door shut. "What?" Cole appeared next to me. I cowed and get the image out of my mind. Carly and Jake were in the midst of love-making. The door opened and Carly's red face appeared. She had hastily put on a large shirt that reached mid-thigh. Then I heard the shower head turn on. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I apologized. Carly's face was still bright. It's fine. Jake told me that HE delocked the door. But obviously, not, she mumbled. "I know how that feels." Cole muttered. I elbowed him in the stomach. "We wanted to ask you where the kitchen was. We are actually lost right now." Carly's eyes suddenly filled with amusement. "You go down the hall. Turn left. Then turn left again. Then you've reached the stairs. Go down the stairs. Then turn right. On the third door is the kitchen." I did as she said. I opened the door and smiled. "I have finally found the kitchen." "Wait," Cole said suddenly. "What?" "I was supposed to go to the game room." He slapped his forehead. "Good luck finding it." To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Turning and checking the cabinets for food. He groaned and I smirked to myself when I heard the door click shut. Chapter 34, Sleepover. Wiley's POV dinner was very awkward. There was no talking. It was as though someone had pressed a mute button on our voices. There was only the clinking of utensils and cups. Then Haley cleared her throat from the head of the table. Next to Taryn. All our eyes were direct in her direction. "So, Riley, how are you and Ashton doing on the mating process?" she asked casually. Ashton stiffened from beside me. Terran choked on his water. Jessica snickered, and I looked at Haley strangely. "Mating process? Oh, Ashton didn't tell you." Haley looked at Ashton disapprovingly. "Mom," there was an edge to his voice. Haley completely ignored Ashton. "The mating process is, Mom," Ashton shouted. "You'll tell her." Later, Haley shrugged. "Je m'agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." From the corner of my eye, I saw Spencer frown. I don't think he likes the mating process. After dinner, I tried to help other women clear the dishes, but Haley insisted that Ashton told me about the mating process. Now Ashton was leading me to his room. Away from the prying eyes, he closed the door behind me. We stood in awkward silence. His shoulders were tense and I stared at my feet. I opened my mouth to talk. "You don't have to tell me. You know. I don't think you'll really need to know. Every mate needs to do it." Ashton replied, "Well, what if I don't want to do it?" "Oh, you want to," Ashton said, secretive lie. "Okay. You've got me curious. What is the mating process?" I eyed him suspiciously. "It will take quite a while to explain. Why don't we sit on the bed?" Ashton pointed at his king-sized bed. I flopped onto it, the springs making me bounce. I patted the space beside me. He crawled in and wrapped his arms around me. He pulled me to his chest and I rested my head on him. "So it's the mating process?" Eager to know, 'cause he grinned down at me. "Just tell me, there are 3 steps to be completely mated to your mate. The first step is marking." I cut him off. "You aren't gonna pee on me?" Wrinkling my nose at the thought, Ashton shook his head, amused. "Not he male would bite the female's neck. I thought you were a werewolf. When did you become a vampire?" I looked at him, completely lost in all this. "That's how werewolves mark their possessions," he explained. I narrowed my eyes. "Last time I checked, I am not an object that you can claim." He growled and tightened his arms around me. "You're mine." "No, I'm not," I retaliated. "Yes, you are," he insisted. "No, I'm not. You haven't claimed me." I smiled smugly at him yet. Ushed and added. I rolled my eyes. "Just tell me the next step." "The next step is where they sleep with each other." "Oh, that won't be hard. It'll be like a sleepover." "I don't know why you're so nervous to tell me all this." "Je m'agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "I mean they must have sex." Ashton translated. I shut my mouth and looked at him, silently asking if he was serious. Ashton grinned. "Does it imagine all the dirty thoughts going through his mind right now?" "Just tell me the last step." "Je m'agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "Then the third step is when they have together. Or that can be the first or second step. To either way, we'll still have to stay together. I don't think Spencer would like any of this." I told him. "I know." Ashton groaned. "It'll be fine. If he isn't okay with it, he'll have to deal with it." Telling Spencer was very weird. He freaked out. But overall he reacted quite well. He had threatened Ashton and almost shot him. But it still went well. Now I was trying to sleep, but I couldn't. I couldn't keep my eyes shut for a minute. Finally giving up, I flung my covers off and went to my room door. I trudged down the hall to the stairs, which I now know where it is, and went to the kitchen. I took the milk jug and the cup and filled the cup up. I returned the milk to the fridge and drank from my cup. Once I was done, I left it in the sink and went back to my room. I laid on my bed, waiting to be taken over by sleep. But my body refused to sit down. I sighed loudly. This better be worth getting up for. I got up and went out my door. Yet again, my feet brought me to my destination and I knocked on the door lightly. I opened the door and peeked inside. I saw Ashton lying on his back, his eyes staring dully at the ceiling. Can't sleep. His eyes flickered to meet mine. I mumbled. He sat up, the blanket falling off his shoulders, exposing his muscular body. My mouth dried and I stared. He saw what I was doing and smirked. Come here. I didn't need to be told twice. I speedily closed the door and crawled into bed with Ashton. I wrapped my arms around his shoulders and rested my head on his naked chest. His arms snaked around my waist, pulling me closer to him. Please tell me that you aren't in your boxers only. I'm not. I lifted my head in surprise. You aren't? No, I am in my boxers. But you told me to tell you that I'm not in my boxers. He said simply. You know what I meant? I slapped his chest playfully. Yes, I did. I obstinately traced patterns on his chest. Hey, Ashton. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He hummed. You know war is happening and people are dying every 5 seconds. What? What if one of us dies? He sat up, bringing me up with him. I would never let that happen. I know. But what if by accident? I struggled with my words. What if a hunter shoots one of us? Ashton's arms tightened around me. Never. But it's possible. I insisted. He kissed me softly. Don't think about it. Just enjoy the moment. But fine. I grumbled. We laid back down and my eyelids began getting heavy. I yawned and snuggled closer to Ashton, his warmth seeping from my clothes. Good night. Right, he mumbled as he kissed my forehead. I'm trying to sleep. I grumbled. I felt him grin against my forehead and I let a smile creep onto my own. Good night, I whispered before falling into blissful sleep. Groaning, I rolled to my side but something heavy was around my waist, preventing me from moving. My eyes snapped open and I twisted my body to face Ashton's sleeping face. His face looked so peaceful. His dark hair was a mess on his head and light breaths came from his mouth. His long lashes brushed his high cheekbones. Lifting my hand, I lightly brushed some hair away from his forehead. Then I leaned in and lightly brushed my lips against his. His blue eyes fluttered open and focused on me. You know, I don't mind waking up like this every day. His morning voice was husky and it sent shivers down my spine. His arms tight and around my waist and he burrowed his head into my neck. He began kissing the spot where my neck and shoulders met, and I giggled and squirmed. He lifted his head and he had a toothy grin on his face. I kissed his chin and began undoing myself from him. Before my feet could touch the floor, his long arms wrapped around my waist and brought me back to his chest. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I have to get ready for training, and I don't want you to get in trouble with Spencer, any of the boys. I don't care, he mumbled into my... But I do. I pushed him away. His arms wouldn't budge. It was like he was super glued to me. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I whined. Right, he mimicked tug. I groaned, banging my head on his rock-hard chest. I poked his side to test if he was ticklish and he didn't flinch. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I said lowly yes. If I kiss you, would you let me go? Depends if the kiss is good. Let's see if this is what you call good. I leaned forward and firmly placed my lips on his. He eagerly kissed me back, biting my bottom lip for entrance. I opened my mouth and his tongue lashed against mine, making us both moan. He sat up and I sat on his lap, straddling him. My fingers played with the hair at the nape of his neck and I tugged on them to bring him closer to me. Then I took his bottom lip in my mouth and sucked on it, making him groan. Hopefully my morning breath doesn't bother him. When I noticed his hands loosen their grip on my hips, I broke the kiss and quickly climbed off of him. I ran out his bedroom and back to my room. I barely managed to grab an apple before I had to head out to the field. I jogged to the group, eating my already half-eaten apple. I settled beside Lucy, who whispered, "You're elate. It'd say it was a miracle to be able to escape from Ashton." I muttered back. I felt her gaze on me. "What? You were with Ashton the whole night? Why didn't you tell me? Whatever happened to sisters before misters? What did you do last night? Did you do anything exciting?" She gushed out, her eyes hungry for information. I shoved her playfully. "No, we didn't do anything, excluding the parts where we had heated make-out sessions." A deep voice rumbled from behind me. A set of large hands went on my hips and a warm breath tickled my ear. "I don't think running away from me was such a good idea," Ashton said. "I thought it was pretty genius. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." Leaning into him, but it was a very good kiss. "I'm not gonna deny that," Ashton said, wrapping his arms around me, "but I had to get a couple of cold showers." Lucy scrunched her nose up. "EW. Didn't need to know that." She walked away. "Great. You scared off my best friend." I took D at Ashton. "It gives us more time to continue," Ashton said, bending down. Just before our lips met, someone cleared their throat loudly. Our heads snapped to Cole, who raised his eyebrows, clearly unimpressed. "Just because Spencer isn't here yet doesn't mean you can kiss in public," he said, shooting us both looks. "And I already have to take care of another couple." He looked in Lucy and Dennis's direction and ran over when he saw them getting cozy. "You'd better behave when I come back," he said over his shoulder. "Yeah. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." Ashed and turned my head back to him. "Now, where were we?" "And we were going to kiss," I mumbled. "That's it. I remember now," he muttered, and he closed the gap in between us. "Can the kid please stop?" I whipped around and I was blushing so hard that my face was probably a tomato. Ben stood in front of me with his arms crossed. Should I be a good person and tell Spencer what he'd just witnessed? Or shall I stay quiet? "I don't think you'll have to tell him. He was standing in front of them the whole time," a voice said, making my blood freeze. A halfpence. I bit my lip, giving him my best smile. "Nice try. I need to talk to you in private." He motioned with his index finger. I reluctantly followed him, not wanting to leave Ashton with Ben. Not that I don't trust him or anything. It's just that Ben is a gang leader, and even though Ashton looks fine with all this gang stuff, HES not. I can see that HES uncomfortable. "Make it quick. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm," I said, crossing my arms over my chest. "I heard that you slept in Ashton's room last night." He quirked his brow accusingly. "I was meaning to tell you that. I wringing my hands, but I couldn't find you. I was in my room. Always in there." I forced out a fake laugh. "Oh, really? Silly me. I totally forgot. You guys didn't do anything like finishing the mating process, right?" His eyes scanned my neck. "Have faith in your sister. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." I checked to see if Ashton was all right with Ben. They were talking and Ashton seemed at ease. "I'm just looking out for you. I don't want you getting hurt. Anyways, it's my job to protect you. That's what older brothers are for," Spencer said. "And I'm not too pleased about how fast your relationship pace is. One moment you are just doing innocent kissing. The next thing you know, you are moving in with him and doing God knows what." "Spencer, I'm sure he'll stop when I tell him to." Spencer frowned. "Just be careful around him." "I will."